up, Philly?
Record.
A moment of remembrance, if you could.
The Hurricanes pick up a 3-1 win on Tuesday as the streak for the Flyers' Shane Gostisbehere comes to an end. The Blue Liner entered Tuesday with a 15-game point streak, the longest in NHL history for a rookie defenseman, but failed to record a point for the first time since January 17th.
Taps played on air horns.
Now, Andy Robb,
Wow.
Ken Prell, the Philly Hockey Guys.
Please clap.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
What a sad day.
Sad day. Moment of remembrance for a death in the Flyers family. Shane Gostisbehere's point streak. We will never forget.
Dead at 15.
Oh, Jesus. So, yeah, if you're in your car right now, just pull over to the side of the road for a second and have a moment to remember those 15 glorious games that Shane Gostisbehere had a point with the Philadelphia Flyers.
Never forget.
I certainly won't. Hey, speaking of which, welcome to the Philly Hockey Guys podcast. This is episode number 34. I guess we'll call this one the Dave Poulin / John Van Beesbrook episode.
Yeah, Beezer.
You gotta love him.
How long did Bees play for us?
Not
Couple
long.
years?
I think it was just the 99 and 2000 season, so not long, but I liked having him. He was great.
Yeah, he was decent.
Then he went to because then the following year he went to go play for the Devils, right? He played for the Devils.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
okay.
I think he wrapped up his career with the Devils. That's right.
Ugh, terrible.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that. Welcome to the show. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Philly Hockey Guy. We're also on Reddit Flyers, on Facebook, and, of course, subscribe on iTunes. And, well, we might have to do the air horn taps again if SoundCloud becomes no more.
Yeah, you showed me that the other day. What's happening there?
Apparently, SoundCloud is $40-some million in debt or something like that for some recent deal where they were purchased.
I can't believe our show is not bringing in the
We should
revenue
be bringing in
for
those Boku
SoundCloud.
bucks,
Yeah,
dude.
I mean,
Should be
what
bringing in
more
that-
does SoundCloud need than us?
We should be bringing in that Ed Snyder money. But no, we don't have Ed Snyder money.
We have no
We
money.
need some of that Trump money, dude. Give me some of that Trump money. That's right. And also, hey, real quick, our contest is still live for just about another week.
Yeah,
So you
only
have
a
one
couple
more week
days
to
left.
enter. Yeah, so enter and you could win that prize pack from us. All right, I think it's time that we go ahead and jump into the show.
Well, the Flyers, much like Shane Gostisbehere's streak, their playoff chances are pretty much dead.
They are. It is fading fast. That light is fading, and you got to be completely realistic about it. We kind of thought, this team was going to be a bubble team, and we knew, pretty much from the get-go, there is a good chance that they might not wind up making it this year.
Our buddy at Flyers Nerd has a pretty interesting stat. Playoff chances now at 18.1%.
So there's still a chance.
There's a chance.
And, of course, we didn't talk about it on the last show, but it's been announced that one Michael Delzato will not be joining the Flyers because his season is over.
Yeah, out 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, surgery on one of his wrists, I believe. I think it was a ligament. His season is done.
Well, unless the Flyers get to Game 6 of the finals.
That's true.
There's always hope.
That's right. At 18.1% chance. I like those odds.
Well, speaking of odds, too, at Flyers Nerd saying that we now have a 3.5% chance of getting the first overall pick in the NHL draft.
Yeah, we all know that Edmonton's going to win the number one pick again.
What would that be? What, 4 years in a row? Something like that?
You had Darnell Nurse, you had Connor McDavid, and now, they might get Matthews. I really hope not. I'll be pissed. The only thing I really care about the draft that's upcoming, completely dismiss the number one pick. What moves and what more additional draft picks can Ronald Jeffrey Hextall accumulate by this upcoming draft? Those are the questions that I'm most interested in.
Well, of course, now is the crazy time of year, the trade deadline coming up next Tuesday. Mm-hmm. So all kinds of rumors are now out there floating around.
It's like Christmas when you're Eklund. Now, we talked a little bit about this on the last show, episode 33. Speaking of which, if you haven't heard it, check it out on iTunes. Talking about some potential people that could be moved at the deadline. Do not say Wayne Simmons. I'm telling you right now, don't say it.
Well, Hextall has already come out and basically said the Flyers are going to be sellers. He says they're not going to add any pieces coming up.
Right. I mean, it would make zero sense to add anybody at this point.
So, I mean, it looks like, this weekend we could possibly see some moves. I would think maybe Sunday could be a good day for some trades.
Yeah.
But TSN's Darren Dreger saying he wouldn't be surprised if the Flyers are one of the more active teams at the trade deadline.
Give us those picks, dude. Hand them over.
Well, speaking of picks, there's already rumors out there about Gudas.
Oh, God. What did he do this time? I'm so tired of hearing about him.
No, this is
Wait,
nothing.
it's not time for
it
disciplinary
doesn't
night
have
court?
No, there's no disciplinary action whatsoever on this one.
So, for once, we're going to mention Radko Gudas, and it's not something about him possibly facing disciplinary action?
No, we don't need the night court theme.
Well, I mean, it doesn't hurt to have it.
That's true.
But yeah, I guess, wow, he's not in trouble. All right, well, hey,
Hold on.
hang on. Well, all right. Well, great. He's not in trouble. Hooray, sound the trumpets. What's the latest news then?
Well, Bob McKenzie of TSN says the Flyers may have had an offer on the table for Radko Gudas for a couple of second-round picks.
A couple second-round
Now, my question
picks?
is, if this is really true, why was the trade not done? Because if you can get 2 second-round picks for Gudas, I'm doing that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, that's...
And Gudas is a restricted free agent
Right.
this summer. So, I don't know why. I'm a little suspect on this rumor.
What I'd like to know is what team was it?
I heard it was
Not the
possibly San
Capitals.
Jose.
Okay, well, it's not the Capitals because they just got Mike Weber from Buffalo the other day. They just traded for him, even though they've got a fine back end. But hey, may as well make it as deep as possible by adding Weber. Okay, so San Jose, a possible target.
If a team out there is willing to give us 2 second-round picks for him, I pulled the trigger on that one.
If somebody wanted to offer me 2 second-round picks, I'd say Goody Gumdrops. Okay, I'm going to leave the room for 1 second.
Wow.
Because that was actually really bad.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everyone listening.
I'm doubled over in pain after that one. Ouch!
Yeah, I'm sorry. I apologize. Can I
Yeah, you can come back on in.
Right, I'm not
Yeah,
gonna do another
yeah.
thing like that again. Hang on, let me
Please,
just-
no more jokes.
No more jokes at all?
No.
All right. Sorry about that. So what I missed while I was out?
I'm just trying to recover at this point.
Okay, well, let's move on. All right, so San Jose possibly inquiring about Radko Gudas. Yeah, I'll be with you. I'm not really buying it until I see something. It's like, why wouldn't you bite on that if you were offering that many picks? All right, then that raises the next question. Would you rather see him get traded, or would you want to see him back next year?
If I can get the 2 second-round picks, I would trade him. I think that's more valuable than Gudas will ever be.
What's the minimum amount that you would part with him for?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I would look for a second and a third. That's what I was thinking beforehand, before this rumor came out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of what I would be looking at.
Because the Flyers have, in this year's draft, I don't remember off the top of my head, how many picks?
10 picks as of right now.
Look at that. You already know it.
Yep.
10 picks. Okay. I knew it was right around that range. For some reason, I was thinking it was higher. It might be.
Oh, it
very
very
well
well
could
could be.
Yeah.
Come around next Wednesday.
Okay. Gudas. People interested. Great. Moving on. What other kind of players, building on to what we talked about on the last episode of the show, what other ones could you see possibly moving for assets, either picks or I don't really see a player-for-player trade happening.
Yeah, I would be kind of surprised. I think if you're going after another player, you're probably going to have to throw in one of the prospects, and I don't know if Hextall wants to do that at this point.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you could afford to part with maybe a few pieces, but not defense-wise, I don't think, as far as that prospect pool goes.
Unless you're getting a stud, forward in return, which I don't see happening at this point.
Yeah, me neither.
Maybe this summer, but not at this point.
Yeah, when we land Stamkos.
Hey, that could be a real possibility.
No, it's not.
It could be.
I don't know.
All right, I put together a list of 10.
Oh, cool.
Of here.
Okay.
If you would trade or keep. Now, we already talked about Gudas, so we're both on board there. Trade at this point. We wouldn't be heartbroken if they traded.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see him back, but it's not the end of the world if he winds up being dealt. Okay,
All right.
sure.
How about Medvedev?
Medvedev. I like the way that this guy has played. I mean, he's very quickly adapted to playing in North America.
See, I don't think so in Hackstall's mind, because he's been a healthy scratch a number of times this season and recently. So
Yeah, I'm not even going to comment on that.
He never wants to. He never wants to comment.
No. So he's only on that 1-year deal. You got defenseman coming up next year. So if you can get something for him, a 3rd, 4th round pick, I think I would be inclined to trade him.
I'd have to go ahead and agree. I liked having him around, but same thing with Gudas. If there's a better, if there's a better offer on the table, if somebody's really willing to do that, to acquire these players, I won't lose too much sleep over it. It's not like we're trading Gostisbehere.
No, and remember, Medvedev is not young. I mean, he's, 30, 31?
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, so it's not like you're giving up on a young guy. All right, next on the list, Mr. White.
Ryan White. Keep him. I want him. I want him again for another year.
Yeah, he is a gritty guy.
He's a more disciplined Zach Ronaldo.
Yeah, and he scored some timely goals this year. Again, I don't think
more
you're
than
gonna...
Ronaldo's ever done.
Yes, that's true.
He's got way more of a scoring touch.
And I don't know how much value he really has, so I think he probably has more value to the Flyers than they would get in return.
I want to keep him because, he's one of those kind of players where, you hate him if he's on another team. I hated him when he was in Montreal.
Yep.
Hated him. And when they picked him up, I was like, oh, what the hell? They're getting this scrub. Why? And then he finally started playing and clicking with the team, and he also seems to like the area. He also seems to like playing in Philadelphia, too. I would not be opposed to keeping Ryan White for, another year.
All right.
Sure,
So he's
him.
on the keep list.
We
Gagne.
Oh, Gagner.
Yes, Gagner. What do you think?
If the offer's good enough, he deserves a place where he can flourish. Maybe a West Coast
He's another
team.
one who's been a healthy scratch for a lot of the season.
I'd like to see him around again. I would. I think that he deserves more of an opportunity coming into the next season because he has potential.
See, I think if Hextall gets an offer for him, I think he's out the door.
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah.
If you get an offer, good enough, whatever.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Do your thing, man. I mean, I'm not the GM of the Flyers. None of us are. So if that works for you, do it. But it was really nice having him around, too. It was nice because I liked him when he played for Edmonton. The guy's a beast on shootouts.
Yeah, the problem is every time the Flyers went to a shootout, he was a healthy scratch or injured. So he really didn't help us out at all for those shootouts. So that's why I think if
Probably
you
sitting
get
up in the press box,
Yeah.
he's like, no,
I could have scored there.
I could have had that. What's the matter with you?
So yeah, if they can get anything in return for him, I end up trading him.
Okay, sure.
All right.
I'll go ahead and agree with you.
Schultz, he's got another year left on his deal. Obviously, some value blocking shots. Has played, I think, a little bit better as the season's gone on. He was horrible early on. So
I've got no problems with the guy. Veteran defenseman.
I know everybody wants to bring up, the rookies, the
Sure.
young guys.
Yeah.
But you do need some veterans on the back line, on the blue line. So yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to keeping him unless I get blown out of the water.
For a deal for Schultz.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I'd be all right with keeping him. I'd be maybe another year, maybe even 2 years. So now, you get that nice transition from the older gang to the young gang as they make their way
Well,
up.
I think you're only going to have him for another year because Schultz only has one more year left on his deal. So
Right.
I can't see the Flyers or Hextall re-signing him. You keep him around for another year, and you can trade him at next year's trade deadline, depending on how things work out next year. So I think you keep him at this point.
Sure. Okay.
All right, another defenseman who I think the Flyers would really like to move, Mark Streit.
I think that they want to move him as much as they want to keep him because he's a valuable asset to this team. Veteran leadership. He was out with injury for a while, but when
A serious injury,
yeah,
too,
and when he came back, he's almost in some ways it was like he didn't miss a beat. I've always
see he looks slow to me out there.
I like having him around.
Again, another veteran
Yeah.
presence on the team.
Alternate captain, too.
Yep.
I mean, the guy's a leader, too.
Now, a couple things that could get in the way of a potential Streit deal is he has a limited no-trade clause. He would agree to go to one of 10 teams, but he's come out and said he really wants to stay with the Flyers. So
See, I mean,
it'll be interesting to see what happens.
You got to
with him.
admire that. I mean, that's why I like the guy's attitude. I think
So you want to keep him?
I do because you know what? I really like his work ethic.
Yeah, see, I think if you can get something back, and I think you can get something good in return for him.
Oh, you could definitely get the right deal for somebody like Mark Streit to a competitor.
And I think he's only got a year left on his deal as well.
All right, well
So-
then let's stay on Streit for just 1 second then. Possible landing places. You said he would agree to go to one of 10 teams. But what teams are they? St. Louis, maybe?
I've seen
Florida?
I've seen the Blues as a rumored team for a couple weeks now, so that would make sense
Panthers?
to me. Yeah, I mean, obviously they could use some help on the back end.
Definitely not the Caps, though. I mean, they're
No,
with them just getting Mike Weber, and plus, I don't know if Hex would even make a deal with Washington.
No, probably
anyway.
not.
You won't have to worry about him. Oh yeah, I know. He's like, hey, wait a minute, isn't that the team that had Dale Hunter and didn't he score on me? And yeah, go
Yeah,
F yourself.
forget it.
Get out of here.
Cut that bitch off!
Oh, Reverend X.
All right, moving on. Raffle.
Would I trade our little Austrian friend Michael Raffle? You know, I at the risk of sounding like a broken record, I'm going to have to say it. If the deal's right. Otherwise, I want to keep him around.
Well, remember at the beginning of the season, he was my really breakout star.
He
I
was,
thought he was going to have a tremendous year. I thought he was really going to shine on that top line. Hasn't really happened. So that's why I was kind of inclined to say that the Flyers would probably be likely to move him. He's in the last year of his deal. But I'm seeing here out of TSN Radio in Toronto that the Flyers are actually working to re-sign him.
I don't think one of the problems with Raff was I don't think he could necessarily find a groove because he was kind of being shuffled a little bit. He couldn't really find.
He had his opportunity on that top line, and I mean, that top line had a very rough start to the season. Remember how long it took Voracek to get his first goal of the year.
Yeah.
So, so he has bounced around a little bit. Again, it looks like they're trying to work out a new deal with him, so I highly doubt that the Flyers are going to trade him at this point.
I'm not opposed to it. I like the guy.
All right, next up, Matt Reed. There's the door. See ya.
He's
Whatever
got-
I can get back for Matt Reed.
He's got some value, but I think if you're going to sell, now is the time. So that's really all I can say about him.
Now 2 years left on his deal at 3.6.
Which is pretty modest.
Yeah,
Not bad.
Yeah, no, it's not bad. I know a lot of people think he's overpriced.
Making a little bit more than what Luke Shen was being paid to put that into some sort of perspective. So it's not.
Yeah,
you
but
know.
he's also making around what Wayne Simmons is making, and nowhere near the production.
Mm-hmm.
So that just shows you how much of a good deal they have on Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I would if you can get somebody to take Reed and get a couple draft picks back, I would do that.
Sure. Absolutely. What's the least amount that you would trade him for?
I think I'd take a third for him.
Just a third for
Yeah,
Reed.
well, if you can get a second, I think, but I think you're realistically looking at a third or fourth round pick for him, just because of the salary and the length of the deal. He's still, like I said, he's got 2 more years left on the deal. So.
Good points. Good points, indeed.
So it's got to make sense for both teams.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Not just the Flyers.
Well, that's how every trade works, I guess. More in-depth analysis you only get here on the Philly Hockey Guys podcast. You heard it here from Ken. Trades work if both teams agree. Fantastic. I think we can go home now.
Well,
We
I'm
solved it.
just looking at Philadelphia sports. Obviously, Ruben Amaro didn't subscribe to that. He was just looking to make deals that made sense for the other team. See?
See Pence, Hunter.
Chip Kelly, same kind of philosophy. If it made sense for other teams, he'd do the deal.
Does that include the McCoy and Kiko trade?
Well, I don't know.
Kiko's not beating the shit
Considering
out of undercover
yeah,
cops.
I know. Considering McCoy may end up in jail, maybe that trade looks pretty good now.
Maybe Chip Kelly knew what he was doing.
Well, let's not get crazy.
What are you, missing Ellie all of a sudden? You're just going to crap all over Chip Kelly? Shut up! Wow.
All right.
Next up on the list.
Okay, all right.
Next
there you
up
go.
on the trading block,
You're not
we
going to
have-
like either one of
God,
these. I'm
just
going to
skip-
say Simmons or Voracek. Would you trade either one if you got a first-round pick in return?
Absolutely not.
All right, what if you got a team's top prospect in return?
Absolutely not.
You're insane.
I'm insane? Wayne Simmons is the embodiment of Philadelphia hockey right now.
Are you out of your mind?
Yeah, thanks.
I am not out of my mind. I'm just saying, by the time this team's ready to really contend for a cup,
You're going to want Wayne Simmons there in front of the goal.
I mean, he takes a beating. Is he still going to be healthy enough to do that in a couple years?
He's
Why
the-
not get the
he's the
return
Wayne
right
train.
now?
Get the return right now.
Yeah.
And watch what's going to happen. If they trade Simmons, you're going to regret it immediately. You're going to be like, oh, why did
Yes,
they trade him?
regret early on, championships and dynasty later. I'm just saying.
I didn't even
You
say anything
can get
stupid this time, and I'm ready to walk out again.
You can get a major haul in return.
Yeah.
Prospects, draft picks, everything.
You can get a major haul for Giroux, too. It doesn't mean you have to trade him.
It's our buddy John. He's telling us to be quiet.
He's a Penguins fan.
Oh,
Heated in here.
He's a Penguins fan, everybody. This
Yeah.
is John. John, say hello to our listening audience.
Hello, listening audience. The Flyers suck.
get out of here.
Now, early on Reddit, I mentioned the possibility of that we might get an angry Penguins fan to join the show at some point, and I think you may have just gotten a sneak preview of him. Can we kick his ass? Where'd he go?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, of course, he runs away, just like a typical Penguin.
So when you work in Central Pennsylvania, you're just surrounded by Penguins fans. So we're here broadcasting, trying to record this damn show, and we got snarky Penn fans trying to give us trouble. Yeah. I ain't having it.
So get out of here.
What a jabroni.
All right, one more here for the
Sure.
trade or keep. Mason or Neuwirth? Would you trade either one?
Oh, that was one of the things that we were discussing with our other Philadelphia Flyers
Angry Bob.
panelist, Angry Bob. Speaking of which, we're hopefully going to have to bring him onto the show someday. Angry Bob is
He's fantastic.
he's amazing. He said, Angry Bob said that he would trade Mason.
Yeah, he would lean on trading Mason over Neuwirth at this point, and I think I actually agree.
Now, the reason why is not because what you think. Mason's terrible.
No, I'm one of Mason's biggest fans.
His reasoning was what is going on in the Flyers farm system right now with Stolarz and with some of the other goaltenders they drafted.
Well, I mean, Stolarz has had a great year in the AHL. He was an all-star this year. I was a little upset we didn't get to see him play at least one game while he was up, or even some mop-up duty. But so the future kind of looks bright for him. Now, you never know with goalies. One year could be great, the next year they could be down. But, I would possibly look at, if I had to pick one of the two, I think Mason would be the one I would want to move. And just because Mason, he goes through stretches during a year where he gets banged up.
I got to tell you, man, I almost don't have an answer for this. Because it's like we've said on previous shows past, speaking of which, check them out on iTunes. You've said, because I just listened to the episode, you said there's a reason why Neuwirth hasn't been a starter anywhere else, because he's a backup goalie. So, I don't know. I'll say this much. I don't want to trade either of them. I want them both back next year. How about that?
Again, it'll go back to our cop-out answer. It depends on what you get in return.
Yeah, but you know what? Here's what I'll say. And this is what I said to Angry Bob, too. When's the last time that the Flyers have had a solid 1-2 goaltending pair? I don't want to lose that. I'm not itching to get rid of that.
I agree, but I think you also have, like as it was Stolarz, I think you have talent. And remember, Hextall drafted 3 goalies last year in the draft. And with 10 picks in this year's draft, you got to imagine he's going to draft another 2 or 3. And eventually one of those has got to hit, right?
If there's a deal that comes in that's good enough, I guess. But ultimately, my answer is I want Mason and Neuwirth back together again next season.
Fair enough.
Whoa, wait a minute. Is that the breaking news sound?
It is.
We haven't used that in a good while.
No. Well, I mean,
play it one more time just because. Ooh, that's good.
it is nice to hear that again.
It is. All right, so what's the breaking news?
All right, I reported earlier in the show that the Flyers' playoff chances were dead.
Uh-huh.
Not true. After last night, they're very much alive.
That's true. It almost seems like everything went in its favor. Like with, what was it? Canes lost, Senators lost.
Devils lost.
Devils. That's it, yeah.
So now Flyers 65 points on the season, 27, 22, and 11. Still trail the Pens by 3 points for that last wild card spot. And 2 points behind the Devils and only 1 point behind the Caniacs.
It's bow time.
Not last night.
Not for the Canes,
Nope.
at least.
for the Flyers, though. So things are looking better. And what a save by Neuwirth.
7 seconds remaining. Granlund turns, centered it all the way across. It goes. Cole shot! No goal! Sprawling across was Neuwirth, and And the Flyers are still on top with 1.6 seconds remaining. How did that stay out?
Yeah, so much of a save that people think he's the second coming of Christ and that Mason is still the worst goalie ever. Oh, I've got some comments. Oh, man.
Yeah,
I have some comments.
You sent that to me first thing this morning off the Flyers Nations page. Is that where the fan page?
There's one. Okay, now I'm just going to describe to you guys listening, because Ken already knows what I'm talking about. It's a picture of Mason sitting on the bench before the game, like how he would just, go and sit by the empty ice, and it says, Steve Mason, backup goalie.
The save was great, but
I think it's more of a fluke than anything.
I agree with you, but I mean, it was an amazing save. It got the Flyers the win last night. It's great. It's fantastic. Like we were just talking about, would you trade either one of these guys? And
nope.
After that save last night, I may agree with you.
Absolutely. You're going to want, it's like I said before, and I'll say it again. There's been so many years where there hasn't been a solid goaltending tandem, and now that we have that, I'm not in a rush to just go ahead and throw that out the window.
Completely agree with you.
That's good. Now, let's go back just a little bit and ask the question. Now that they're this little bit out of the wild card, do they make it? Do you think they hold on? Do you think they really have some kind of crazy showing during this homestand? Do you think maybe that Neuwirth save to wrap things up, do you think it might have started something?
There's so many teams fighting for that last wild card spot that I still have my doubts that this team is going to end up in the playoffs. I would love to see it happen, and if it does happen, I think we'll point to last night and that save as the reason why the Flyers got into the playoffs. It's still going to be very tough. There's just so many teams fighting for that spot. But, yeah, I mean, you know what? They're only 3 points out. Stranger things have happened. Remember 2010?
How could I forget?
So, yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens over the next few days here with the trade deadline and what Hextall is able to pull off. I know Hextall said today that calls early on were flooding in with trade offers, but they've kind of died down and quieted down over the last 24 hours.
Yeah, it's do or die right now for the Philadelphia Flyers, or as you would like to say, the heat is on.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Can I bring that back?
That AM radio recording of
somebody
the heat
fire
is on.
that up. Oh, there it is.
It does. It sounds like it's on like the worst radio ever.
I'm listening.
I want to hear Night Court instead. Anyway, moving on.
Well, if the Flyers are going to make the playoffs, they need their captain. And good news on that front is that G actually skated with the team today, and Hextall saying there's a possibility that he plays tomorrow night against, is it Arizona or is it Phoenix? Or is it
the Arizona Prongers.
Yes.
That's what we're going to call them.
Or is it Glendale?
Whatever they are. I don't know.
So hopefully if they can get the captain back, that certainly helps their chances.
And he also said it felt really good to get back on the ice, get the skate in. So he feels all right, I guess. I mean, and to my knowledge, they haven't really elaborated on what this upper body injury was.
Well, no, it's a hockey injury. You never get any details. It's either an upper body or a lower body injury.
Well, regardless, it'll be good to see G back in action. My doppelganger, my twin.
Yes, we do. We need to put a picture up either on Facebook or Twitter. We got to get you in a Giroux jersey,
side
by side,
because once he got his hair cut, okay, he's going off of my style. He's taking the Andy Robb style, the ginger beard and the short haircut. That's mine, and he looks like me now.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you got it first.
I got a message from somebody. They're like, I was watching the All-Star game and I thought Giroux was you, and then I looked at a picture and I saw him sitting next to Yager, and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And you know what? It's awesome. So now I'm just going to go down to Wells Fargo Center and be like, I'm your brother. Let's go play catch.
The only difference is about $8 million a year.
And actually, proficient at hockey, whereas I just, skate around. You know what the worst part is about playing, open hockey, open practice? I'll have, 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds just shitting all over me, skating circles around me. I'm terrible. I'm terrible, man. Dion Phaneuf is a better hockey player than I am.
Oh, wow. All right, moving on.
Oh, wait, no, I just have to elaborate. I just realized that I never thought that on this show I would say the phrase 8 and 10-year-olds shitting all over me.
through 34 episodes, I'm not surprised by anything that comes out of your mouth anymore.
I don't think anybody is that surprised.
Hey, before we wrap this one up,
Yeah.
there's another trade rumor out there.
Oh, boy, here we go.
Go ahead.
Would it possibly be for a younger player that is playing in Tampa Bay?
Well, he's no longer playing in Tampa Bay
Formerly, or in some,
Or-
he's in hockey limbo,
or anywhere. I think he's just sitting at home on the couch right now.
watching reruns of Night Court. Okay, we're talking about Jonathan Drouin, right? Is that who we're talking about?
apparently there was a lot of reports last night that said the Flyers were and Hextall was pushing hard to make a trade.
That was the big quote, the two things in quotation, pushing hard. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, no, he's not.
No.
He's not. I don't think so.
He doesn't seem like a player that fits the Flyers mold. Terribly talented, absolutely.
Sure.
But the guy wasn't getting playing time. He got sent down, and he just quit. I understand you're frustrated and you want to get traded, but that's not the way to go about it.
Yeah.
He probably would have been traded by now if he would have just played in the AHL.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, that'll get you eaten alive in Philadelphia.
So would he look great on the top line
Sure.
with
Oh, God,
Giroux
yeah.
and Voracek?
Absolutely, yeah.
But I don't know if you want that kind of guy in the locker room. And plus, what you're going to have to give up, because the Lightning aren't just going to give you him for Mark Streit.
Would you guys like Gudis back?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't
that's
know.
not
I mean,
going to
yeah.
happen. You're going to have to give away one of the young guys and possibly draft picks. And there's no way Hextall's going to do
watch.
that.
Hextall is going to get Drouin for just 1 third-round pick. And
Then
pull it
I
off.
do it.
and a copy of Night Court on DVD.
Hey, real quick, speaking of the Lightning.
Yeah, let's talk about big Tampa Bay Lightning news involving one of our former friends.
Yeah. Coburn signing a 3-year extension, $11.1 million deal.
Good for him.
Yeah.
You know what? I have absolutely no hard feelings, no animosity at all towards Braden Coburn as a person and a player. I love the time that he spent on the Flyers. I know that might be an unpopular opinion, but I really like the guy. The guy's a workhorse.
You know, all I see with this deal is that the Lightning aren't going to sign Stamkos.
You really think so?
Why would you extend Coburn before you extend one of the best players in the game?
Yeah, that's an interesting point.
Yep.
That you bring up there.
So, look for Stamkos in orange and black next season.
Yeah, maybe what? Where in Anaheim? Oh man, but yeah, good for Coburn.
Yeah, no,
You know,
it's good to see.
He deserves
Yep.
it, and I can't be more happy for the guy. It was great seeing him in the finals last year. You know.
It was okay.
It was. Come on. You got to be happy for him. You know, there are other players that used to play in Philadelphia you can be bitter against. But someone like Coburn, I just find him to be a class act, and I'm happy as hell for
Yeah,
him.
he never had anything
He
bad to
deserves
say
the
about the
success he
Flyers.
has. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, that's going to do it for episode 34. If it sounded a little disconjointed, it's because we've recorded this over
The span of
24
just-
over the last 24 hours.
So we're almost done the podcast yesterday being Thursday, and we're like, all right, we'll just put the finishing touches on it, and then of course,
Yep.
the Flyers
Neuvirth
win
makes
last
the
night.
save of the year last night.
Neuvirth
The Flyers
does
are
it.
back in it.
Coburn gets signed for a deal with Tampa, the Drouin thing. It's like all of a sudden things are just whoosh, taking off.
Well, it's going to be a crazy couple days, and I guess we'll be back early next week, probably around the trade deadline, maybe before or right after. We'll see how our schedules work out.
Yeah, and we'll have some other. We're also working on getting some other stuff together for the next show, and of course,
We'll announce our winner on the next show,
yeah, the
too.
clock is ticking. I was just about to say you have until the end of the month, so if you haven't entered yet, just tell us who you are, where you're listening from, and you want in on the contest, and you could win a prize pack from the Philly Hockey Guys podcast.
It's pretty simple. So follow us on Twitter at Philly Hockey Guy, on Facebook, the Philly Hockey Guys podcast, and subscribe on iTunes. If you get a chance, give us a review on iTunes as well. We always appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, if you do that, it might actually maybe improve your chances of snagging a Lindros figurine.
A little shameless sucking up never hurts.
No, not at all. Not at all.
All right, for Andy, Rob, I'm Ken Prell. We are the Philly Hockey Guys. Have a great weekend, and let's go Flyers.
And hey, please clap. See ya. Go Flyers.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like the Philly Hockey Guys podcast page on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Philly Hockey Guy and subscribe on iTunes, TuneIn, and SoundCloud.